Hello everyone, my name's Lily and welcome to the All Words Are Free podcast, the Substack partner to my website, All Words Are Free When the Birds Sigh. This is quite an adventure, kind of crazy, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited with what we can do together in this podcast. Start conversations and talk about things that interest us. So I hope you stick around to come on this adventure with me. I'm a student at Oxford University and I'm currently studying biochemistry. So very, very science orientated. There'll be some sciencey stuff within this podcast, but also I'm a huge literature fan. I'm a person of many tastes. So we will find this out as we go. But yes, I'm taking the leap. I always thought I had a really whiny voice when I was little. I'd listen back to like audio recordings or home videos or anything like that. And I'd always think my voice was really whiny. Of course, part of the fact that I thought that was probably that I was young. I was a child, and therefore my voice was probably slightly whiny. I mean, let's be honest. And if you think my voice is still whiny, that's so fine. Funnily enough, I was talking to my friend the other day and saying about the podcast, and they said about listening back to your voice. And I was like, no, it doesn't bother me anymore. It really doesn't bother me. I feel like I just sound like how I sound in my head. Or maybe I've just got used to the fact that I've just got used to the sound of my own voice. I record when I'm revising for exams and things. I record and listen back to it for, like I did English literature at A-level. And to remember quotes, I'd record myself saying them and then I'd listen back to it while I'm walking or whatever. So I think that was like a podcast. So I think that was probably part and parcel of the getting used to my own voice. But yeah, crazy. My mind is slightly all over the place, but I'm the sort of person where I will have a thought just randomly. It may be related to what I'm talking about. It may be related to something completely different. It may be sparked by I'm on a walk and I see something occur in front of me and bam, I have a new thought. A new line of thought. So yeah, I mean, this is something we're going to get used to, so it's fine. I'm slightly scattered, but I'm also very organised. So I'm hoping to publish a podcast episode weekly. This may change as we go, because obviously this is just the first one, and we've got to sort of develop an audience and everything. So, you know, we need an audience before we really go anywhere. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we can get this out to as many people as possible. This podcast is obviously primarily available on Substack, but it's also going to be available on Spotify and then to other providers as well. Each episode is going to be named after a quote, as you can see from the title of this episode. This episode is named after a quote from Oscar Wilde, who is one of my favourite writers. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Funnily enough, this is actually one of the quotes that I used in the original incarnation of my website. So not All Words Are Free When the Birds Sigh, which I'm very proud of, but my original website, which I can't even remember what it was called, but it was on like a different provider and everything, and I was about 15 at the time, and I made my about page and like had the book I'm reading at the moment and little like suggestions and reviews and stuff. Didn't really do anything, didn't really go anywhere. Had a poetry page, had a non-fiction page, also had a makeup page, which isn't the vibe anymore. But I had a few pages like my current website, except obviously at the time maybe the idea wasn't fully formed, but I'm kind of I start a project, I half finish it, and then I abandon it sort of person. Especially sort of before coming to uni. I feel like at uni I've got more into this is what I want to do for example, with the podcast, with the website, I've now got to a place where I know that this is really what I want to do. That's kind of special. And when I was younger, I'd like half finish stories. You know, I'd write down an idea, go with it for a bit, and then just get stumped and then just abandon it. I'd look back on it years later and like read this half finished story, and I'm like, no, I want to know how it ends. How does it end? But I never finished it, so who knows? And the website was one of those sorts of endeavours. And there are some pieces on there, definitely. Endeavour actually sparked that I wrote like the TV show Endeavour inspired me to like write a story. So I like half wrote a story and abandoned. But it's still on my old website somewhere. That website was never published, by the way, so it will never be seen by any member of the public or friends or family, anyone else except myself. Anyway, so I had this website just floating out there somewhere. Maybe there's something on there that I've forgotten about and I could kind of graft it into this new website. That would be cute. We'll see. But my main inspiration for starting a podcast was through watching commentary videos on YouTube. Again, I very much got into that with during uni. And I'm a massive fan of just putting them on and listening to them in the background while I'm doing things. So if I'm doing exercise or hanging up my washing or going for a walk, anything like that. But the YouTube videos, like commentary videos, long form content, I love. And that's what I'm hoping to do with this podcast, like make really longer form social commentary videos. So we can talk about anything from kind of lighter topics, like maybe something a bit more frivolous, like dating, or I'm talking about a particular TV show that I watched recently that sparked some ideas, which obviously can get more into the social commentary side. And that is what we will be focusing on primarily. So, you know, we're talking heavier topics like consent or grief or philosophy. I'm hoping to do interview style things as well, so could bring in some friends and some peers' opinions on a particular science topic or a particular book. We're reviewing a book or anything like that, you know, feminism, things like that, really big topics per se. And again, we will have this quote, which I think could be a nice form of inspiration. It could be a song from a TV show. It could be something I've read. Yeah, I'm a big reader. I like reading a lot of different things. Fiction was always my first love and always will be, I think. But I've loved reading non-fiction, especially when somebody manages to put something into words that you can never quite express, or you relate to something that somebody is saying to you. And you think, I can't believe that somebody else feels that way too. It's amazing. I think it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. And with commentary videos as well. So, yeah, I think to kind of get the vibe, I like watching Khadija Bow, Mina Lay, Jordan Teresa, these sorts of commentary video creators on YouTube. I'd love to get this into maybe some sort of career or whatever, we'll see. But yeah, I've got my website with its longer form pieces, and now I have the Substack and the podcast, which is obviously the listening side, to expand stuff and have discussions, maybe things that I wouldn't or I don't think work as well as a written piece. And then we're going to have some shorter partner content as well, which may be bonus content, which may lean more into the paid idea. I'm still working on that and going to see how it goes, but for now we're gonna keep it free because I want to get this out to as many people as possible. That's the most important thing. That'd be amazing. But we want to create a little safe space for people to get talking, for fostering discussion. And that's my ultimate goal. So speaking of my voice, we're talking about how I thought I was whiny. Well, now we're going to talk about how I'm northern. So it's quite funny because living in the south, sometimes when I'm talking to my friends, I sound really northern. I don't know whether it's a time of day thing. I don't know whether it's I'm just really tired, so I sound really northern. But also my voice definitely changes. And I think this is a really interesting thing. So things like class, capitalism, we'll talk about that sort of stuff. And class particularly is something that's quite close to my heart. I'm from a place in the north, although technically it's the Midlands, but, you know, whatever. I identify as northern, a place called Stoke-on-Trent. So it lies between Manchester and Birmingham. And I'm really proud of that, you know. I think it's made me who I am, and also the heritage there. And your early years are so formative. And I think I feel it's very special to sort of stay rooted and stay connected to that. I know obviously it's different for different people. I was very privileged. I had advantage in the fact that I had both my parents, and I feel very supported. And obviously that's a massive privilege. That's a massive advantage in the beginning years of your life, which are the formative years of your life. But yeah, that's where I'm from. That's why I sound like I do. And I think maybe that gives me some sort of unique perspective. Who knows? But here we are. And you can stick with me through it. You may pass through Stoke-on-Trent on the train, by the way, if it rings a bell. So I'm a big fashion fan. I thought I'd throw that out there, because another thing that I thought I might do on the podcast is like an outfit of the day sort of vibe. Which might be fun. I think it'd be a good way to kind of warm up, you know, set in. I think at the start of each episode we'll have the quote, obviously, and then I'll talk about, I'm like wearing this today, add that little flavour to it. We'll see. But I think we just get to know each other a bit better by doing something like that. I think that'd be nice. I want this to be like a friendship. Growing my friendship group one episode at a time. This is a bit of a segue, but I thought I might as well say what I'm wearing today. There's cream turtleneck, a waistcoat, a sort of Renaissance sort of style, flower skirt. It's kind of giving carpet, but in a good way. And tights with sort of this pattern cut out down the front, which have many holes in the feet, but I don't care. I need to do that thing where, you know, when people cut it off at the ankle, that's what I need to do, but I won't, because surely they ride up. If anyone has got any advice, please let me know. But I love these tights. They're so comfortable. They look so good. They're great tights, but there's like no foot left, and my feet always go numb when I've been wearing them for a while, because it's literally cutting the circulation off to my toes. But they'll ride up if I cut it, surely. Anyway, I'm also wearing these tan ankle boots, which are very clicky. They make a click-clack sound when I walk. Brings me much joy. Makes me feel very powerful, very slay. I'm like strutting down the street. I'm also very particular with my jewellery, so I like to wear particular things. So like always a necklace, always earrings, 2 piercings, always a watch, my grandma's watch, always bracelet, always rings, multiple rings, plural. Call me obsessive, I won't stop you. Returning to the Oscar Wilde quote, because I feel that if I'm naming them after a quote, this is important. We need to talk about it. So I chose it firstly because it's linked to the original website, because it was on the front page, the homepage of that original website, and I just thought it'd be nice to sort of reminisce a little. But I think it also represents me quite well, and I think it's very insightful too, just generally, that, you know, we're all human, we're all at a particular level of struggle. We all have different things that we have to deal with, and that is very subjective. But that idea of some of us are looking at the stars, there's hope there. And I think some of us, I don't know, we're daring to dream, or maybe it's not even that, maybe it is just that feeling of hope. And I think it's interesting that it's all of us are in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Not everyone is. Not everyone can or feels like they can. I don't know. I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. Or maybe some of us, through our experiences, whatever those may be, have come to realise that maybe even if we're in a good situation, there's maybe more, or maybe there's a different way. If you're looking at the stars, there's wonder there, right? Especially if you think about the context of the time and what they knew, like scientifically, like astronomy, and whether by looking at the stars you're wondering what more there is for the human condition, whether by looking at the stars you're transcending your mortality, or you're transcending yourself. You're looking at the bigger picture. You're looking at the world as a whole, or the society that you are living in, and you see and you respect and you configure your place within that setting, and you realise that maybe everyone ultimately is a human being and therefore the same, with hopes and dreams and wishes and feelings and fears. Maybe that's what Oscar Wilde was talking about. I went to a talk by Neil Gaiman recently, which I'm so happy I went to, and I feel like it's such a privilege. And as a writer, I left feeling like I could really make a difference. And that ultimately is what I hope to do here and with my other platforms. One voice can say a lot, can have a lot of opinions, and also encourage other voices to rise up too. I think, it can take one person to conceive an idea, or multiple people independently to conceive an idea, but somebody needs to do something, or something. When something is said, then it is the many who can then share and disseminate these ideas and these theories and maybe even make a change. I hope you find this page a good place to share. But that's me. Kind of short and sweet, although we have reached 20 minutes, so maybe not as short and sweet as I expected. This is the second recording of this opening episode. I listened back to the original, which was only about 8 minutes, and I just wasn't that happy with it. I directly scripted everything, so I was reading it, and it just didn't sound very organic at all. Whereas doing this, where I've just got prompts and let myself just say what came into my mind, it felt a lot more natural, and I'm so happy I've re-recorded it. I'm a bit of very much a perfectionist, and like listening back to the first version, I was like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do this, not today. So I've re-recorded it, and I'm just so much more happy. I think prompts is a lot better, because again, it's just so much more organic. And like watching the social commentary videos on YouTube, they're scripted to a point. They write down their ideas, but it's in seeing someone really think about what they're going to say, I feel, that gives that extra weight to their words, because you know that they're considered. But hey, there's a lot to say, a lot to do. So I think if we take this one step at a time, we can get to know each other as we go, and I hope you stick around. I hope you enjoy it. Take care. Lovely to meet you. and let's keep talking.